People need to stop playing on the is it a cop? Is it a stripper? I don't know. Maybe I misspoke. Maybe I missaw. People need to stop pulling that shit. All right, understand weaponizing somebody's adrenaline based on their safety. That's dangerous for somebody that's hypervigilant with trauma. You know? That's like me saying, for example, like if I were to go ahead and view, like, let's say somebody's deployed to war, all right? If I suggest, hey, let's start normalizing to shame somebody for their response, all right? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to start a rallying cry to start throwing all veteran surprise parties. Yeah, in that circumstance, you'd be the asshole. Why would you be the asshole? You're shaming somebody for their trauma by wanting to shame them for their response to a situation. You threw in the surprise party, uh, you know, and they claim that they don't like surprises. You didn't believe them because who wouldn't like surprises? It's like, maybe the people that, ended up going ahead and deploying and ended up getting chased by people who, what was their greatest defense that they had in the situation? Oh, that's right. Oh, there's a weaponized tactic. It usually ends up being the determination on whether somebody wins and loses. Oh, they claim it's another element, you know? I mean, how does it go again? Oh, that's right. Earth, water, air, fire, surprise. But, yeah, no. My point on that is if you try to make it hard for people to identify, hey, you know, these logos that go on these very few specific things out in the entirety of the community and in society, they help people to be able to understand and adapt, you know? Like trying to act like if I were to wear an emergency bracelet like I used to, that it's not safe for me to go out because without, me having that, what'll end up happening if I have a medical emergency? What am I making this video on? What is that bracelet that's just a hunk of metal going to do in comparison to this thing that's in my hand that will grant me access to reaching the individuals that would be the determining factor on whether I survive or cease to exist? Seeing the point on that? Alright. So, law enforcement trying to do any type of shit like that, yeah, you need to wonder why public opinion is not with you when you refuse to accept people's disabilities and you know, don't tactfully handle the scenario. And I understand that my mom's trauma with law enforcement, reliance on law enforcement might have become a developing crutch throughout the entirety of my life, and that it had been happening before I was even born. But, yeah, that doesn't mean that the entirety of my existence needs to revolve around a trauma response, you know? Because, I mean, when you end up telling somebody too, you know, you wouldn't have an order of protection on you if I didn't need it to feel safe. All right, so you need an order of protection to feel safe, because you will never feel safe as long as you know that the person that you wanted to get an order of protection on is alive to be able to do you harm, so they have chosen, if they chose. But the funniest part is, you go to preach, actions actions speak louder than words, but words have consequences. It's like, all right, so actions speak louder than words. You went to go call the cops assuming that I was going to lunge at you because your trauma told you that I was going to lunge at you, and I end up with an order of protection on me. Yeah, understand that order of protection that the court gave you, that's a fucking piece of paper. Understand, following that piece of paper that you wanted to get the court involved in the middle, yeah, if the court's saying we didn't need to stand in the middle, you need to accept other people's personal capability to make a fucking decision. You know? Stop trying to get them to second guess it just because of the fact that you feel that you haven't shook them down enough. It's like, yeah, ultimately that piece of paper isn't keeping you alive. You know? My wanting to get the fuck on my way, and knowing that if I fucking killed you, that prevents me from doing that, that's what's keeping you alive. So don't delay me moving on my way. Don't financially try to pick me fucking dry for everything that you can, and then wonder why the fuck aren't you going anywhere. That's like me asking, why the fuck don't you want to live enough? Why the fuck don't you want to live enough? Why the fuck would you not want to live enough? Clearly you don't want to fucking live enough if you're not doing exactly what the fuck you want to do and being on your merry fucking way. Well, you wanted to try to drain me of every penny that you fucking could before I could, because you want me gone, but you don't want my money gone. You find me disparaging, but the financial assistance that comes along with me, you got no problem not speaking against that. That's all copacetic. That's good. Me, though, nah, get me the fuck out of here. And your attempts to try to separate me from my check and be able to keep my check here, but not keep me here, has fucking failed, and now you're getting investigated for fraud because of dereliction of fiduciary duty, while wanting to make it my problem by trying to bluff and be like, the court's not going to believe you anyway. I'll go to the fucking court and try it regardless, and clarify to the judge, hey, judge, I don't think she realizes her pulling this bullshit, if she's robbing me blind, while also telling me to be on my way, and she's upset because she wanted to utilize the court as weapon. And the only thing that matters in the mind of these stupid fucking judges and cops is, all right, well, we've been tricked gullibly into being a weapon. Not a position we want to be in. And we've heard every side out, and ultimately, we understand the circumstances now. We understand. Yeah, no, just because you ran to try to scream about a situation first, wanted to tell how you thought was inevitable of the way things were going to play out and how it actually played out. Two totally different things. But, yeah, no, because you know it all, and, you know them by the fruits, that whole thing. Blah, blah. That automatically you are superiorly going to be right without any type of proof that you had to legally obtain. Now, keep in mind, if you're having difficulty and you have to hire people to legally obtain evidence to support your case, at that point, you understand exactly how fucking frivolous your case is. All right? Your case regardless of how unique and slam dunk you think that case is going to be, understand your case, that circumstance you're dealing with, yeah, no. Judges, lawyers, cops, they hear it all day, every day. It is literally their job to hear out that same fucking case relentlessly over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. The only thing that ends up happening different is the person's face superimposed to that fucking docket number. Because of the factor that ultimately, the one thing that it seems like most people who think, oh, my life would be so much different in a better position if I could just make the whole trying to make crimes a career, if I were to try to make it a workable one. Yeah, no. One thing that every person has that thought has in mind. Do you know what they all thought? That one sharing common factor. They thought they were so clever that pretty much the circumstances, the control was in their hands. It's like, hey, it was in your hands before you broke the law, and now it's not. Now you want to dictate which laws are bullshit, which ones work, and which ones don't. So you'll champion for ones that support your viewpoint, because of wanting to be right no matter what. But not understanding that, hey, those laws that you want to tweak around and, everything will be perfect, you just get it just right. Just a little more tweaking. It's like, yeah, understand that law that you want to pull away. There's a reason that law ended up getting put in the first place. And it was either to take somebody's rights away or to go ahead and give rights to people that had wrongfully had their rights taken. All right? So, yeah, ultimately, when it comes down to it, trying to be like, oh, weed, gateway drug. No, weed. Literally going ahead and saying weed and then going and putting in the same column terrorism on any police report. Yeah, that'll get you put on a fucking watch list. Now the question is if the cops did that when they were having to write up your paperwork because it was your word against theirs, but they knew theirs wouldn't be in question because of their job title. But anyway, to the point that I was making. All right? And this is randomly off, but if you say you want to press charges against somebody else's teenager's parent, and you end up asking a cop if it's, when they say, just being a teenager, but this is happening in a hospital, and that cop is laughing and tickling your daughter's stomach, that right there is a cause for concern. That right there, it's like, which side of the aisle is it? Is it stripper or prostitute pretending to be cop? Actually pedophile? Or is it public servant actually supposed to help serve and protect, treating a teenager like a dog, tickling her stomach, her laughing because the cop is in agreement with her, you being taken back like, what the fuck did I just witness? Because you didn't imagine that there are cops that could use their power, despite the fact of abuse of power being a charge that when you see a corrupt cop getting charged, usually almost always ends up in that list of convictions. So yeah, if you see a cop tickling a 16-year-old stomach, right out in public, well, you're asking that same cop to charge the parent of the teenager that gave your teenager alcohol. Yeah, you're not the only one that's taken back. Like, there are so many people trying to just put the pieces together, and it's like, you saw that for yourself. But before that, you wanted to go ahead and put cops on this pedestal and be like, oh, you know, not a bad apple, just a bad perception of a profession look. So, yeah, no. Think you might want to analyze that whole situation. And then remember, too, that it's that cop that's tickling, your daughter's stomach that determines if you're able to remain in a home or be homeless, because they could take you to jail, get some charges trumped up on you, have you put on a bond, signature bond that ultimately, without going ahead and telling you what the bond amount is, just try to hike up the price and try to ignore your Eighth Amendment rights, because, God forbid, it's like you literally wanted to go ahead and weaponize over excessive bail. And then when, the people that are rejoicing in, the whole, people weaponizing over excessive bail, it's like, oh, so the cops sold your life savings for laughing and being a spectator, saying that you're being detained because potential aiding and abetting. So you were in the wrong place at the wrong time, so guilty by association. Also, because you decided to step out to the grocery store, you now owe thousands of dollars in legal fees. Oh, the cop was in a bad mood. That's all you had to say. Anything past that. And the only thing we're wondering is how the fuck you're still talking to us with a pulse. And how we don't need a Ouija board as a median form of communication.